Everyone, it's Mariners Fanatic back with another YouTube video, and in today's video, we'll be going over some Mariners news. There hasn't been too much news lately, but recently we had the finalization of all of the international draft signees and their contracts. Gary DiPoto and the rest of the Mariners front office announced minor league coaching positions, and then there was also some news from Baseball America regarding prospects that I wanted to talk about. So that's what we're going to get into in today's video. It's going to be jam-packed with a lot of information. So hopefully you guys stick around for the entirety of this video. If you could do me a favor, give a like, subscribe for all this Mariner news, and I'll hop right into it. Starting off with the prospect news, they finalized the list of international signees. There are 11 players out of this 2022 international draft class, headlined by the 8th ranked overall prospect in the whole international draft, Lazaro Montes out of Cuba. He's a corner outfielder who might be able to play some first base, probably DH at some point. He's getting a lot of comparisons to Yordan Alvarez with his framework and his raw power. He's definitely an above average hitter. His skills in the outfield are labeled as average at the moment, but it's more about his bat. And if we've all seen Yordan Alvarez play, so if he's getting compared to him, that's a pretty good thing for us. So hoping to see him up with the club here in a few years. He's definitely the guy that I'm most excited about. Next up, we have Michael Arroyo, an infielder out of Colombia. He is the 41st ranked prospect out of this international draft class. He's known more for his bat than his fielding. He's got a lot of athleticism, but they're hoping to work on that glove a little bit. Martin Gonzalez, the 48th ranked prospect in this class, is more known for his glove. He's out of the Dominican Republic. He's also an infielder just like Arroyo, so they're kind of a little bit of opposites. They're looking to work on Martin Gonzalez's bat. He definitely has a lot of athleticism, so there's room to work on that and develop him into maybe another Noelvi Marte. Same thing with Arroyo. They're just trying to work on his glove. Next up, we have a right-handed pitcher out of Guatemala, Sebastian Barrios. Barrios is an 18-year-old who's up in the high 80s, and the thing that stands out to me is that they label him as having above average control, which is not something you see a lot of out of a young pitcher. That's exciting. Next up, we have two kids from Panama, William Calderon and Carlos Gonzalez. Calderon is a right-handed pitcher, again, high 80s, with a nice tall frame with a lot of work that can be put into that body to getting him to be a potential middle of the rotation guy or sliding into the back end of a bullpen. Gonzalez is a catcher who has a nice frame, said to pack a lot of punch coming out of that batter's box. And it would be nice to see because honestly, I think our farm system, one of its weaknesses is that catcher. Next up from the Dominican Republic, we have Juan de Jesus. Hopefully I said that right. He profiles very similar to Harry Ford. They're actually about the same size, and he's been behind the plate and he's been in the infield as well. He's said to have some great bat speed. I'm excited to see what he has to offer. Next up, out of the Dominican Republic, we have Federic Jimenez. He is a right-handed pitcher. He's only 17 years old and he's already in the low 90s. Just a lot of power, strong, tall frame. So hopefully they can develop him in the years to come. Two right-handed pitchers out of Venezuela, Eric Rodriguez and Williams Rodriguez. Both of these kids are over 6 feet tall and have ability to be in the high 80s to low 90s. So it'll be interesting to see them develop together over these next few years. And then finally, talking about the prospects, we have Dervi Ventura, who is a switch hitting utility player, can play some outfield and some infield. The fact that he already has that wealth of knowledge of different positions could help him, as maybe the focus will be more on his bat, which will help him in the long run, as ultimately that's what gets you to the big leagues is the bat, because fielding can always be worked on later, depending on how good your bat is. That's all the talk about prospects, and now we're going to move on to the coaching staffs. First up for the ACL and DSL staffs for the 2022 season, we have Luis Caballero, manager, Brett Schneider as hitting coach, Yoel Monzon as the pitching coach, Nico Giratano, did not say that right, as a coach, and then Randy Redder as the athletic trainer, and Drew Widener as the strength and conditioning coach. For the Low A Modesto Nuts, we have Austin Knight as the head coach, Michael Sosa as the hitting coach, Nathan Bannister as the pitching coach, Ryan Scott as just a bench coach, Dan LeBerry as the athletic trainer, and Jose Alcantara Baez as strength and conditioning coach. For your Everett Aquasox, for those local to this area, Eric Ferris will be the head coach. Ryan McLaughlin will be the hitting coach. Matt Pierpont as the pitching coach. Jose Umbria as bench coach. Eric Quinney as the athletic trainer. And Brennan Mickelson as the strength and conditioning coach. For AA Arkansas, we have Colin Cowgill as the manager. Sean O'Malley as hitting coach. Sean McGrath as pitching coach, Jeff Jimenez as bench coach, Amanda Lee as the athletic trainer, and Chris Walter as the strength and conditioning coach. And finally, for AAA Tacoma Rainiers, we have Tim Fedorovich, played in the major leagues for about 8 years with various different teams. This is his first year as the Tacoma manager. Hitting coach is Brad Marcelino. He has done private hitting lessons over the last few years, but he also coached at University of San Diego for several years. He has a pretty serious following on social media and works with a lot of players from around the league. So this is definitely a good guy to have on staff. Excited to see what he brings to the AAA squad. Then Alon Leichman as the pitching coach, Zach Vinci as bench coach, Michael Feliciano as the athletic trainer, and Michael Sadler as strength and conditioning coach. Covers all the bases for the coaching staff. Some of these guys are first year coaches, some of them have been within the organization for several years, but ultimately, I'm excited about this coaching staff. It's young. They're hopefully going to get into analytics and start developing these guys, get them off to good starts so they can get them up to the big club quicker. And it only helps us when we have good coaches down there. So that's exciting to see. Finally, the last little piece of news I wanted to talk about, if you stuck around this long, was Baseball America releasing their top 100, as well as their ranks of systems, as well as their farm system rankings across the whole of MLB. The Mariners had 5 prospects in Baseball America's top 100. Julio Rodriguez, the number 2 prospect overall. George Kirby, number 12. Noelvi Marte at 18. Matt Brash at 45. Brandon Williamson at 83. The one thing I thought was very interesting was Emerson Hancock completely dropping off the list. I didn't expect that. I mean, I knew he was going to fall. I thought maybe he would still stay in those, upper 90s, maybe in the 80s, close to where Williamson's at. But obviously, they are concerned just as we are about Hancock's injuries. It makes a little bit of sense, but it's disappointing to see, and I'm hoping that Hancock can recover and come back to life. So that'll be interesting to watch as we head into this next season. But the final thing to talk about is Baseball America ranking the Seattle Mariners for the first time ever since they started these rankings as the number 1 farm system in all of baseball. Now, some people may look at that and like, oh, make the playoffs first. Who cares about a farm system? Well, in the past, we've had good farm systems, but in general, product being put on the field wasn't that great. And so, in some instances, prospects were rushed, or in other instances, the system just wasn't filled with a lot of depth. And so, it prevented us from really creating kind of a dynasty or something like what the Astros have done for the last 5 years or so, being consistent and building up within that farm. Now we're at a point where we already have a young core that we can lean on with Jared Kelnick, Julio Rodriguez coming up. And that's the exciting part about this, us being the number 1 overall system. It starts with the players, but then it also includes the coaching staff and what's going on down in those clubhouses all across our organization. So some might look at this and like, oh, who cares if we're number 1? We still haven't made the playoffs. It's a big deal. It really is a big deal. And the other part about it that is a big deal is the Texas Rangers are ranked ninth, and then the Angels, Oakland A's, and Houston Astros are all in the bottom 5, which is crazy. But it's also really, really good for us. The Astros are not in a good place once guys start leaving. The Oakland A's are just about to go into a rebuild, and the Angels will keep doing what the Angels do. Mariners fans have a lot to be excited about. With our system being ranked as number 1, it's a lot more important than people think because it shows the health of an organization. So, with all that information, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Pitchers and catchers is, supposed to be about 10 days away, but we'll see what happens with this whole lockout mess. Hoping to have more regular videos uploaded weekly. as we get closer to the season. It would be nice if the lockout could end, because then I could have some more to talk about. But for now, that's going to be the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys next time. Mariners Fanatic. Out.